I can't hear anything now.
There's just a moment of quiet.
Okay, gotcha.
Live now.
I'm also trying to fit this. Oh, here it is. New window. That's what I want. Okay. I got a nice clear copy of the agenda here.
They did that.
Is this both a regular meeting as well as a reorg?
This is just a reorg.
Okay,
We'll have a second meeting this month.
gotcha. Okay, good.
And that way we can get ourselves together and be ready to really take action because everybody's kind of new. We gotta, or not everybody, but we have some new faces. So you got 3 new board members. So that's a pretty big deal. I would make, are you ready? Are we recording? As we get started, and then I'll let Maria take over, but I just wanted to let everybody know that both Mr. Greco and Mr. Rosenthal have been sworn in. They were done so during the last, during the supervisor meeting. And I'm going to kill Paul's last name, but whatever Paul's last name is, I have written it poorly and I can't read it.
I think it's Montefiore.
Huh?
I think it's Montefiore.
I think that's right, Montefiore. Mr. Montefiore was unable to be sworn in this evening. We will get him sworn in before your next meeting. So there are the 5 board members now. We have a full board, so that's great. And I'm going to turn it over to Maria to get the meeting started.
Okay. I call to order the January 3rd reorganization meeting of the Newtown Township Municipal Authority. Let's have a roll call, and I may need those new individuals to state their name for the record. Could I have the 2 members of the board who are new that are sitting in the meeting here state their name for the record?
Louis Rosenthal. Me. You see me on video?
Yeah, you said George?
No, Louis Rosenthal.
Louis Rosenthal?
Yes.
Hi, Louis.
Hi.
Okay, and
Tom Greco.
you're Tom Greco. Okay, and then Mark Kay
Here.
and Maria Kane here. And do we want to state one other individual, Steve, for the record?
Yeah, Paul's unable to attend tonight, but we will get him sworn in between now and the next meeting. And
Okay. Okay, we need an appointment of a temporary secretary. Do I have anybody who would like, Louis or Tom, or Louis or Tom, would you like to serve as the temporary secretary?
I could certainly serve as a temporary secretary.
Okay, can I have a second on Louis?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then I need appointment of a temporary chair. I'm happy to do it if somebody wants to make that appointment.
we have a motion for Mark Kay.
Second.
Okay, good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good. Okay, can we have a moment of silence?
So we'll, Maria, Mark, now that he's the temporary chair, can take over.
Oh, right, thank you. Mark, go forward,
Hey,
please.
Maria. All right, so now we're gonna have a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Please stand up and face the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag, United States of America,
to the republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, individual, liberty and justice for all.
All right, look at today's agenda. We're going to consider approving, I assume you mean the last agenda, Stephen?
Huh?
Approving the last agenda or this agenda?
You're approving this agenda.
Okay. So approving the current agenda, all those in favor? All right.
Do we have a motion?
Motion, all those in favor? Tom said
I
aye.
need a second. So we got to,
Second.
who
I'll
made the
second
motion?
that.
Okay,
Louis seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll have election of officers. Election of the chairman. Anybody want to say anything? Or
I would make a comment before any motions are submitted. Just for the sake of continuity, I would encourage Mark or Maria, who are previously serving on the authority, to consider the chairman's role.
Maria, do you accept the promotion for you to be chairman? Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Is that a
I
motion?
Motion, I second it. All those in favor?
But let me make the motion and then
Okay,
you
I'm
second it.
sorry,
So I would move Maria as chairman of the municipal authority.
Okay, any seconds? Second. Tom seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Maria, you're now chairman.
Congratulations.
So Maria, we're turning it back over to you.
All right. All right, now we need an election of a vice chair. Who, is there a nomination of
Make
a vice
motion that
chair?
Mark Kay serve as vice chair of the municipal authority.
I'm just wondering, Mark, do you want to accept that nomination, or would you rather remain as treasurer as a possibility?
To do anything. I mean, if somebody else wants to be vice chair, that'd be fine. Who else could be vice? We could always nominate Paul Montefiore, right? He's not.
Hasn't been sworn in yet.
All right, Paul, would you
He's not
accept
here.
the nomination as vice chair?
I mean, you can. I mean, he's not here. I mean, I hate to have him not accept it, but I mean, you could.
I meant Louis, actually. I
Oh.
apologize.
So are you nominating Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I guess the question is, would you accept the nomination?
Of course, I would accept.
Okay.
Okay.
So is there a
All right, so
I'm going to continue.
I make a motion to nominate Louis Rosenthal as the vice chair. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we need a nomination for the position of secretary.
Nominate
Paul,
Tom.
would you consider accepting that? Not Paul, I apologize. Tom. I can't wait to meet you all in person, by the way.
That's what you get for being sick.
That's it.
So Mark made the nomination.
I would second that.
Great.
Second. for
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then I make the nomination I nominate Mark Kay to serve as treasurer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, appointment of officers, the Director of Operations, Assistant Secretary, Assistant Treasurer. Has that been you, Steve?
It has.
Okay. I nominate Steve Neese, or make a motion to appoint Steve Neese as Director of Operations, Assistant Secretary, Assistant Treasurer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need to appoint a solicitor. Our solicitor for years has recently submitted his resignation, and therefore we need a new appointment. Has there been any statement of interest, Steve?
My understanding is that there was a conversation with Mr. Catania, Francis Catania, who has been our special counsel related to the Rafferty case. And
Yep.
so I mean, my understanding is he's willing. That's what I've been told. I haven't talked to him personally, but I've been told that he was willing.
May I ask a question?
You sure can.
Who is representing the authority today?
He's the-
In the absence of the former solicitor?
Well, he's
He's
stayed, the former solicitor has stayed on until this moment.
Okay,
When you get ready to appoint, at this point, whoever you appoint will become your representative going forward.
would it be possible, if he's already tendered his resignation
He's
and
already
it's been
retired.
accepted, I don't think, at least this member of the board had not met any of the people who are not
Right.
incumbents
Yes,
or,
even the
candidates.
incumbents, maybe even. right?
yeah, so,
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one of the challenges with having such a board with so many new members,
correct.
right?
And so many resignations.
Yes.
I've not met this person. I've watched him on video as I reviewed previous meetings and
I don't think you've seen Mr. Catania. So it's not Mr. Catania that's the township solicitor. This is a different Mr. Catania. This is Frank Catania. He's, like I said, he was the one that represented the municipal authority during our recent case with Rafferty.
And has any of the previous board members, Mark or Maria, have you met this person? And-
I've not met Frank, but I've known Joe all the years. He was the board supervisor. He was the board supervisor for a number of years, and then he became a solicitor. I've known him all those years. I know he's been great. Don't know anything about.
I mean, I'm an attorney and I have worked with Frank on a couple matters over the years, but not closely. So I do know him and I do know he has an excellent reputation. He's experienced and qualified. I don't know if this board wants to take a little more time and perhaps we ask for a letter of interest from Mr. Catania. And then we could put this off until the next meeting, which we're going to do in 2 weeks. Do you have a problem with that, Steve?
Let's just say, I hope I don't have any issues between now and then, but I mean, if you're.
If you feel as though it's imminent, let us know. We just,
No,
I just want to give these
here's what I
very
would
new
say.
board members.
Here's what I would say. I believe your next action will be to appoint Mr. Sheridan as your special counsel. He's agreed to continue for purposes of the sewer issues that with the recent sewering of the western part of the township, because he knows that.
Yeah.
And he agreed to continue to handle that part. My comment would be that, you potentially could ask if there was a question between now and then, I would just reach out to him and ask, can you give us some guidance? You're our special counsel. We haven't appointed a full-time solicitor at this point.
Yeah, and I actually think Maria's comments about maybe picking this up in a couple of weeks make some sense. If there's an opportunity for us to appoint an interim solicitor for a period of 2 weeks, just so we're not exposed if an issue comes up. And
Yeah,
then our special counsel is available if
I don't know that he is, but I'm presuming that since he was willing to do the other, that he might be willing to do this for 2 weeks while you're making a decision.
And Steve, would you be in a position to reach out to Mr. Catania to receive a letter of interest?
I will. Are you wanting me to reach out to anyone else?
I'm not sure if, I'm not aware of anybody else, qualified in the area of municipal law. I
Well-
could certainly look into it. I don't know. Have we received any letters of interest from anybody else?
Yeah. I mean, I can put the word out, and see what we get.
Yeah, I think it would be nice for this board to be able to determine, make a determination.
Well, would you wish me to,
Interview.
I'm wondering, what about Mr. Sheridan? Does Mr. Sheridan have a recommendation? As,
Well, Mr. Sheridan recommended Mr. Catania.
okay, good. I figured as much, which is great. And I don't have any questions as to his capabilities. I just want there to be I want the board to be in a position where they're making a selection, knowingly,
So if you choose to direct me, you could direct me over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Up to a couple of the other municipal authorities in the area and ask and just see who their solicitors are and see if those solicitors would be interested.
yes, I think that makes sense. Why don't you and I will have a conversation this week and, we'll determine, whether or not there's some other local authorities that we can reach out to and find out who their solicitors are and get at least another letter of interest for this board to review.
Gotcha.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll table that one. And then we'll move on to I make a motion to appoint Michael Sheridan as the special counsel to the municipal authority. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And Mark Kay and I have worked with Mike Sheridan over the years and have found him to be very helpful and competent. And so hopefully, Steve, if in the next few days if we need to reach out to Mike, we can do that.
Maria, if you want, I mean, I just talked to him a couple hours ago. I mean, he's at home. He's happy he's retired, but he's not doing anything else particular other than his regular business. But I could ask him if he's willing to be our special counsel.
That would be,
Agreed to that last I talked to him. So particularly for this closing out what we've got going.
Okay.
so it's your understanding then, Steve, that he would be willing to serve in that capacity?
That he'd be willing to serve as special counsel to close out the municipal authority build out that we just completed.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think it's imminent that we get counsel. So I'll be talking with Steve, try to get some additional names circulated. All right. Our authority engineer, Mark Kay, do you want to make a motion?
We'll make a motion for Dave Porter to be our engineer. He has been our engineer all along. And it makes sense to continue him as the engineer based on what he's in the middle of doing as well, working on all these plans.
And that's Dave Porter with McCumbie Engineering.
I just want to make sure that we state that he's with McCombie
Yeah.
Engineering,
Yes,
and that we're really appointing all of McCombie so that if Dave's not
Sure.
available, we have
they would
that.
have somebody else, yes, McCumbie Engineering.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to appoint McCumbie Engineering as the authority's engineer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alternate conflict engineer. And Steve, could you remind me who currently is our conflict engineer?
In the past, you've used Stantec. I might recommend that you would consider Catania Engineering. And the reason not because it's Catania, that's not the reason. Frank Catania I'm sorry, I said Frank. I meant to say Charles Catania is who I served with on the CDCA for the last, I don't know, probably about 5 years or so. And he's very knowledgeable in the sewer systems. And because that's what we focus on, it's just a thought that you might want to do that. Not that Stantec couldn't do it, but he's very familiar not only with our system because of all the paperwork that's had to go through him. Just so you know, give you a very short history. I don't want to keep you any longer than we have to tonight, but we're a conveyance system. We're not a processing system. So we convey everything from here through the CDCA or through RHM. And RHM is Radnor, Haverford, Marple. And if you're on the eastern side of the township, basically 252 is the line. It's not quite that simple, but I use that as the basics. If you're on the eastern side of the township, we go to the RHM side. If you're on the western side, we go to the CDCA side. And CDCA just happens to be, we happen to have a seat on that board as the township. And I had served as the representative for, like I said, the last several years. And so I've worked with Charles Catania in that. I did talk to him. I said, would you be willing if the board would want to do that? And the reason I suggested that is only because he's so familiar with our system. It would be easy for him to back up the Macombi. If that's your desire.
Just a clarifying question, the backup is really not a backup, it's a conflict backup. The title is conflict, and is this a
it's alternate / conflict. So if
Macombi's doing something,
if Macombi for some reason is not able to, or Macombi is doing a land development project and they design the sewer, we don't want them to be the one who's reviewing the sewer.
that's the conflict.
But that's a conflict. But they may come back and say, if Macombi were to say, hey, as much as we would like to do this project, right now we don't have the resources in-house to do it, then that would be the alternate way that you might do it that way.
Thank you.
And the name of that firm is Catania Engineering. Okay. And is there any relation with Frank Catania?
My understanding is there's no direct relation, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
And
Okay.
The big-
We'll look into it.
Second largest city in Sicily, so everybody.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
it's a pretty popular Italian name.
You could probably hold off on this today if you want to do some research. I mean, it's up to you.
I wouldn't do research, but if there's some information you could send to us, that would be great.
Okay.
Your explanation was excellent.
Yep.
So I'm in the process of reading as much as I can, and I would be happy to read more of this in advance of our next meeting.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. Why don't we hold, since we have to appoint the authority's solicitor, why don't we hold off on the alternate conflict engineer as well? And Steve, if you could circulate some information on Catania Engineering to the board so that we could take a look at that, that would be great.
I will do that.
Okay, thank you. And the I need a motion to appoint the authority's auditor. Currently, who's our current auditor now, Steve?
Our current auditor now is Malley, Mallie, I believe.
Yeah. And they were fairly recent, just so that the board knows, like, we had recently changed to them. So that we had the same as the township,
That's
the
correct.
Board of Supervisors. So it makes it, I think, a little more seamless process. So I will make a motion to appoint Mallie as the authority's auditor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and moving on to right to know officer, is that Suzanne Wolanin?
It's not been, it's actually been me, but I'm happy if you want to make it Suzanne.
No, she'll be too.
I mean, she's agreed. I mean, Suzanne does all the work. I just signed my name to the
Exactly.
letter, to be honest with you. It actually adds a step in the process, and I hate steps in the process if we can eliminate them.
We should.
But
I mean, I think it's, better to have the actual person who's going to be doing the work
Yep.
be appointed, and there's no limitation. In other words, it's not like, someone with your level,
the only
authority
reason,
is required. So,
the only reason I've held it in the past is because there is a liability if we don't perform in a
point.
certain period of time.
Mhm.
There's a penalty, and the penalty can't be paid by the authority. The penalty has to be paid by the individual. And so of the two of us, between Suzanne and myself, I'm the one that makes more money, and so I took the risk. But she's
Now,
happy.
does
I've
the,
asked her, she's happy to fulfill the role.
You should have
what
a-
about, is there any level of errors and omissions or something of that nature to some type of insurance to cover either one of you?
No, there's not. The state law is very clear on this.
Okay. Interesting. Well, one other question, I guess, to ask the solicitor. Well, I'll make a motion. Do you think Suzanne would have a problem with our nominating her?
I do
Or
know-
our,
She and I actually talked about it, so I know that she's at least willing.
okay. All right, I make a motion to name Suzanne Willanen, who is currently, I think her position is executive secretary to Stephen Neese, as our right to know officer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passes. And next, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December 6th, 2021 meeting? I don't know if everybody had an opportunity to review those. I looked at them.
I've read them through.
So I obviously was not at the meeting, so.
That's true.
I would, and you need, I think, 3 votes
You need
to,
3 votes.
so I'm gonna, if you don't mind, can I ask both Mark and Maria, have you read these minutes thoroughly?
Yes,
Do you believe they're very accurate and representative of the meeting?
I do.
Based upon
Yes, I did read through them. For that reason, I figured I'd better read through them to make sure they were accurate. Yes.
All right, so I second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And any announcements? I'm not aware of any. Steve, are you?
No, I think the only announcement that we'll make is when we get to the end, once you decide your meeting schedule for 2022, 2023, well, just for the reorg, we'll want to make sure we're very clear and get your direction so that we can advertise that.
Okay.
But it means-
And any public comment? Is anybody there from the public?
There is no one here
No.
from the public.
Okay. All right, and then we do have some payments. We're gonna go ahead and approve these tonight. Okay, starting with 12.1, can I have a motion to ratify the reoccurring bills paid on check register A dated December 16, 2021, totaling $1,665.07.
Second.
All those in favor?
I have a question.
I missed who made the motion.
I don't think anybody did.
Oh, well, you
I
said-
guess I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion, Steve,
Okay,
and then seconded by Mark.
okay, gotcha. All right,
And so
Any questions or comments?
I do, yes, thank you. And the recurring payments, these are under previous agreements that we've entered into with any one of these providers, be it Pico or Aqua.
yeah, typically these are utilities.
Got it.
That, so I just would make note that the municipal authority in the past has approved for us to pay certain things without waiting until we're here before you once a month. Because typically what has happened in the past is you would all approve the bills, and then tomorrow we'll receive the bill from Pico and it's due in 10 days. And so then we were paying late fees. And so this is our way of trying to avoid having, it's almost impossible to, by the way they have their turnaround time and the way it comes in and what we have to do to keep from paying late fees, but we do our best not to. And so, so that's the reason for these. I can get you the specific list that not this board, but the prior boards that passed, so that you know what that is.
Over time, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
No further questions.
Okay.
anybody else?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 12.2, consider approving the bills on check register A dated January 3, 2022, totaling $27,568.97.
Second,
Can I have a motion?
motion to approve the bills on check register A dated January 3rd totaling $27,568.97.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 12.3, I make a motion to approve a payment from the bond totaling $5,530 to Herbert McCombie Engineers for Part 2 permit work, public sewer project relative to the Camelot service area. Can I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or comments?
I do, please. In line, obviously, with some of the recurring payments, the payments that come out of the bond versus any other type of operating fund.
Yeah. So specifically for the bond, the monies that come out of the, when you approve those, the difference is the bank is actually writing the check. We are not. And so in the past, this would be done, or, you would approve it here, your chair would sign it, and that would be the authorization to pay. This case, because it goes to McCombie, normally McCombie is also signing, saying that it was okay. Your solicitor is signing on these to release this, because we don't let the engineer sign on his own paperwork, right? And the vice versa, I can't remember. I don't think we have one to Mike tonight. But if there was one to Mr. Sheridan for doing his work, he wouldn't sign on his and the engineer would sign on it. So it's one of you and one of your third parties to review it to make sure everything is covered. And so this is work that your engineer has done on your behalf for the purpose of the build out and specifically for the area of the Camelot area.
I was more interested in whether this was operating expense or this was actual capital expenditure.
This is
for the
actual cap.
project.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I wasn't following you.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is actual for the build out, the $33 million
Got
project that we
I
took.
understand. That's what I thought. So
Okay. So I think we just needed the vote if there's no other comments.
no further comments.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay. 12.4, motion, I make a motion to approve a payment from the bond totaling $344.38 to Herbert McCombie Engineers for Part 2 permit work, public sewer project relative to the Ashford service area. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. 12.5, I make a motion to approve a payment from the bond totaling $33.75 to Herbert McCombie Engineers for Part 2 permit work, public sewer project relative to the Springton Point service area. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. 12.5. Did I do 12.5? No, I don't think I did.
You just did.
I just did. Okay, 12.6. I make a motion to approve the $97 refund to a John McLeod at 3301 Green Country Drive for duplicate sewer payment. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or comments on this one? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the $77.48 refund to Michael Sobrian at 318 First Avenue for a duplicate sewer payment. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. 12.8, I make a motion to approve 154.56 or $154.56 refund to Robert McKeegan at 122 Hunt Club Lane for a duplicate sewer payment. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, new business.
Good question. Stephen,
Yes,
why are we getting all these duplicates?
So it's one of two possibilities. One is if the property happened to sell and the realtor actually had it withheld at closing, but the person actually made the payment and they hadn't cleared at the time, we would have had a duplicate payment. The other thing that we're finding is that sometimes people are paying online and then the other spouse comes in and pays it by check and we end up with the duplicate payment. Those are usually what the cases are.
Okay, thank you. Bye, Maria.
all right, no. New business 13.1. Can I have a motion to approve the 2022-2023 meeting schedule, which was part of the package that was distributed to the members?
So,
Yeah, I have a question on that too.
yeah, this shows Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yes,
So
so
it's either Mondays or Tuesdays.
it's
That's
really
what I
Monday
asked.
or Tuesday. And the one reason that I wanted you to be really kind of aware is that if you look at this, whoops, sorry, you have at least 2 meetings in a year than the first 2 that would always be on Tuesday, because the third Monday is Martin Luther King. It's a holiday. The township building is closed. And on the 22nd of February is President's Day. And again, that was there. We'll do whatever you desire. Our staff is ready to cover you
Right.
either Monday or Tuesday. It doesn't matter. I know Mark has a conflict on Tuesdays.
I do too, yeah.
So, but we would just have to work through that in January and February.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have volunteered if it was on.
Yeah, so,
Kidding,
Yeah, but-
but Mondays actually work better, even the shift days. that you
Well, we'll
mentioned.
take a vote.
Just-
We'll make you happier.
well, I just need direction. That's all.
Right.
Monday.
Like, Maria,
And the schedule as attached shows Monday except for those 2 Tuesdays. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just looking at it here. There's only 2 Tuesdays.
They keep used to
Does
be-
that work for the board?
Well,
Yes, for me.
Mondays works a lot better than Tuesday. I think 2 of us just said
Right.
that.
Yep.
We have to do 2 on Tuesday. We have to do 2 on Tuesday. That's
Right.
okay. May not.
I
be
just
here.
have a conflict with another board I'm on.
Yeah,
Always do
Yeah.
it. for-
yes.
Well, we could always change those perhaps to a Wednesday then. Is there a problem with that, Steve?
Either of those Tuesdays that are on this proposed meeting schedule, the 18th of January and the 22nd of February, neither of those are a conflict for myself. I don't know about Mark.
Well, they are for me, but I can deal with it.
Would you?
But Steve and Maria brought up a point. Can we do Wednesdays, those 2 days?
Um,
Well, it doesn't matter. It's just, I'm sorry, Wednesday's worse than Tuesday, to be honest. Maria.
I mean, we'll do whatever that makes sense,
Yeah.
that as long as I can advertise it. I like to do it the night after because it keeps it a little bit more clear. If you get too far out, people don't lose track of when everything is, particularly if it happens every year.
And if it's just those 2 Tuesdays, either I'll come in or I'll do it through Zoom.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, let's leave it the way we've done it. And just so that the board knows, I know that just historically, we have kept the 2 meetings a month. Although, that second meeting in the month, we often will look at that as, potentially one that is not necessary, but in order to notify the public in advance, we,
But Maria, beware, this does not even talk about a second of the month.
oh, it doesn't. Okay,
This is
yeah.
the third week of the month, not the first week that we used to meet.
Okay, so this is the 3rd Monday.
Yeah.
Stephen, why did it change to the third
It
week?
changed because of one of the challenges is tonight. So what's happening is there's not enough, we've been running into this problem every year that typically you can't even have you don't even have a full board meeting right after, because I
It's a
can't
slightly
get somebody
different
sworn in
situation, though.
with this. And this year that we had a real challenge, so we made it work. But the idea is that the other issue is that because of the first Monday being that way, our board, the Board of Supervisors is wanting to actually do more business. Instead of starting at 8 o'clock, we would be starting later on this night. And so that's what we looked at. We're already scheduled on the third Monday, so it seemed to make sense. And I think we met twice last year with the additional meeting. So by taking it to the third Monday, we said if we did it the third Monday, we don't have the conflict, take the conflict away. It also gives us time to get whoever gets appointed, give them a chance to get up to speed for the first meeting. And that's what we were looking for.
And my guess is your staff probably needs a little bit of time to prepare, and
Yeah,
cramming everything on the same day is a
it's,
bit of a challenge.
I mean,
That's
I've
fair.
been doing it for 7 years,
That's
and as I get older, I'm trying to think and be smarter and.
Forget it.
offer you a little advice later. But, just from a historical perspective and looking at previous information when I was doing my research, what was the thinking behind having 2 meetings per month scheduled?
The main reason was we went to 2 meetings a month because when we first kicked off the project, the $33 million build out, there was a lot of decisions that were having to be made all the time. We're now at the end, and right now, I don't think we've met the second meeting in probably
Twice the whole year.
twice the whole year. So it seems to me that if you need that, we'll schedule it,
Right.
and we'll advertise as you need it. But I think as we're winding things down, it's incumbent upon myself and your engineer and your solicitor to make sure we come prepared to try to do business, knowing that we're not going to meet for another month.
Thank you.
Great.
Good. Okay,
And to be perfectly honest, when I schedule you for 2 meetings, it takes another night that I can't meet with other people. And that's a challenge for me because sometimes I'm actually scheduling it, hoping that this meeting doesn't happen. So
Plus then we have to announce it and then
yeah,
cancel it. and
yeah,
all that
exactly.
Goes on.
all right, so I think we have a motion on the table. I need a second to approve the 2022-2023 meeting schedule as provided in the board's packet.
And it'll be on Monday.
To be on the third Monday, except as stated.
Couple Tuesdays. Right.
Did I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, and can I have a motion to approve bank depositories with, and Steve, you're going to have to remind me as to who is holding our funds at this point.
He's looking it up.
Your funds are in, we have resolutions. Okay, so maybe you don't need a resolution for this here. So your funds are in TD Bank?
Yeah, I thought they were all with TD Bank, but I don't know.
Is the holder of all the funds.
Yep.
And so,
And
The bond
and the
proceeds as
too.
and the
well.
bond
And the
proceeds as
bond
well.
also.
Okay, so I make a motion to continue with the current bank depository, TD Bank depositories, as there are more than one account. Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. And bank signatories. Who are the current signatories, Steve?
Currently, your current signatories are
Me and Joe.
you and Joe, and you did have one other board member, and that was John, before John
Really?
resigned. And then you also have myself and George Sherritt. So we had 5 signatories. Our policy is that we would never, George and I never sign the same check, okay? Because that's too That's 2 employees signing. And obviously, board members, 2 of you can sign anytime. But usually I'll do the review. If I'm not here, George will do the review. We'll sign the check as one of the signatures, and then 1 board member does the second signature.
I think we should be adding Maria, that where Joe was originally. Still be the other signature.
Yeah.
As for Rich too.
I'm fine with that. I mean, in the past, the only reason, I mean, I remember this issue coming up before that, both John and Joe were, much more available than I used to be because I used to drive to Exton every day. Whereas now I'm primarily working out of the home, like most people. So I am a little more available in that regard. I certainly wouldn't want to hold anybody up with getting, payments made. And how many signatures are required? So it's not like
We have 2 signatures on every check. And usually, like I said, we've in the past had 3 board members who were able to sign, and the two employees, myself and George Sheritz. George Sheritz is our Public Works Director, for those of you who are new.
All right, so why don't we, so Mark, are you willing to continue as a signatory?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and then we'll add me, and then either Louis or Tom. I mean, poor Paul isn't here, but he might be.
I'm fine with that. That's okay.
Okay.
Kind of appropriate.
All right.
Chair.
All right, so I'll make a motion then approving bank signatories, Mark K, Maria Kane, Louis what is it, Rosenthal?
Rosenthal.
Rosenthal, sorry about that. Rosenthal, Stephen Neese, and George. What's George's last name?
Sheritz.
As signatories.
And just one more question prior to anybody offering a second. The bank documents, they know what to accept, right? They can accept any board member, 2 board members.
Well, the bank doesn't make that differentiation, but we have a policy. And then our auditor, when we do the
Very
audit,
good.
we ask them to check and make sure that's what we're following.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I
All
would
right, and yes, Steve,
I would
sorry.
just make note that your next item, you do not need to take action on. The Board of Supervisors actually took action on it tonight. And
Okay.
so you don't need to take any action.
Except to maybe just announce that Kalika Sawant has resigned from the municipal authority
That's quick.
and let the record reflect that.
Yes.
Okay. Any old business?
Nope.
All right. And any items, I guess, I don't know why that is in there without anything under it. I think we can skip number 15 as there's nothing
Yeah,
there.
only if, so just, and I'm going to meet with the new members either as a group of 2, not 3, because if I have 3 of you, it now constitutes a board meeting. But I will meet with members with you and go over where we are, try to get you up to speed as quickly as possible.
Would be helpful.
But so one of the things I want to make sure everybody's aware of, and so we can't just add an item to the agenda on the fly because of the new agenda law that was passed last year. And I think it was passed in June or August, something like that. It took effect in August, I know. And so you have to have all your items on the agenda ahead of time. So if there's something that we're going through in a night and you say, oh, I really want to talk about this, and we determine that you can't talk about it because it's material, then we'll make note of it so that we make sure it's on your next agenda so we can deal with
Well, we
That's
did,
the main
we
reason.
did
for that.
table a couple of items, the
And I
appointment
know
of
those,
officers.
and we'll go ahead and get those.
Yeah,
but-
but what about, I mean, Mike Sheridan mentioned something about the $5,000 that came out of the.
Yeah, we're gonna take that up at your meeting in 2 weeks,
On the 18th.
on the 18th. Because again, that was something that I couldn't,
Correct.
because it wasn't on, you would have to vote to put it on. And we really advertise this as a reorg meeting.
And then we'll have the budget discussion.
We will have a budget discussion.
You'll give these guys copies of the budget.
We'll get copies to everybody. I hope to meet with them beforehand and go over where we are and let them ask any questions and do that.
The budget has been going on for quite a while, so it's at the point where we're ready to make a decision. You guys need to see it, understand it.
You know, I do want to mention too to the new board members that I know when I joined, we took a tour of these service areas, you know, and went out and looked at the actual pump stations. And I think giving them an opportunity to see at least one of them so that they kind of know what we're discussing and putting a visual on and putting some of the issues into context might be helpful.
Yeah,
I know it's cold. I know it's cold now, but you know, maybe even just kind of a you know, a drive by of some of these.
George does that.
yeah. I usually do that kind of as an orientation for new members. The last 2 years has been kind of difficult with COVID.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. Maybe we'll do a couple different cars just to keep.
Yeah, a couple different cars would be great, Steve. Yeah, that was really helpful to me.
And
Yeah,
typically
me too.
when I do that, because we're not discussing anything and you're not making decisions.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and advertise it if we need to, if more than just the three of you, if all three of you want to go, and if the other members, because we have a lot of new pump stations, that my guess is even the current members who have been serving for years have never even seen, because we built 5 new ones.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so,
I would like to see the new ones actually. And, you know, you know, and we can get the new solicitors comments on this, but, you know, it's my feeling that, you know, if you were meeting to receive information and you are not deliberating on matters related to the authority, then it doesn't constitute a meeting and therefore does not run afoul of the Sunshine Act. So, you know, I mean, although we want to be really careful, I think it's kind of nice to be able to get the group together as a group so that, you know, we're actually building some camaraderie and making it easier for us to work together too, as long as we're not discussing issues and making decisions.
We've done that I've done that with the Board of Supervisors to take them out and do them a ride around to look at roads. We advertise it as a meeting, just so in case anybody has a question, because if I've got more than 3, I always take the risk and.
Yeah, take the high road or take the, just being extra cautious. I can't argue with that.
Stephen, what about the Rafferty lawsuit? Will that be discussed in the next meeting? Maybe.
So what I can tell you in where we are right now, and I'll get the new members up to speed as to what's all behind it, and so I won't.
Is this something that is public knowledge, Steve?
Well, I think that it could be the judge. I'm just going to speak what the judge gave us direction on. The judge
Okay.
direction to both sides to have their arguments in. I believe by the middle of the month is their closing arguments, and then any rebuttal by the end of the month. And they're being submitted simultaneously, so it's not like they're waiting on each other. They're submitting it. They'll see the other ones and then they'll respond. And so hopefully we will have, that goes to the judge, I think the 27th of the month or something like that. And, you know, then the judge has, I believe, 60 days to make a decision. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll have hopefully at least an update as to the status of that, not necessarily a decision from the judge at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right. I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi, Maria, feel
Thank you.
better.
All right, thank you very much. I'm hoping